Hurricane season. We take you, of course, to the tropics where we're tracking more disturbances out in the Atlantic, and we'll show you where those systems are going.
Live on your side, First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
And we begin right now here on Weather Extra with a live look from our sister station WAFB in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And you can see already that rain moving in, and they're expecting those conditions to go downhill in a hurry over the next 24 hours. The track for Francine has shifted a bit to the east today. Tania joining us again. And Tania, you know, you and I talked about that yesterday. We'd see a lot of times these systems, as they start to turn towards the northeast, we see that bit of a jog.
Yeah, and that's how we need to pay even more close attention to what impacts we could see here at home as well. Those heavy rain possibilities, yes, but those winds are going to be picking up, and we can also see a few isolated tornadoes too.
Yeah, same. We got to watch out for. You know, when you have a tropical system like this, these warnings, sometimes they can come with little warning. We call them quick fire tornado warnings. They don't last long, but you get a lot of wind shear with these tropical systems as they move in. They start to interact with land, so all of a sudden you have a little downpour, tropical downpour, hardly any lightning, and then all of a sudden it starts to rotate. Seen that happen a lot of times around here, so we just need to be alert and certainly paying close attention to the weather over the next couple days as this system moves in. Of course, the next big thing that we are talking about is Francine, and we have declared first alert weather days because as this system moves through, I want to stress this is not going to be, I mentioned yesterday, like a Andrew or Ivan or that level of a system that's moving through Alabama, but it will bring some gusty winds and some rain, especially West Alabama. That's one of those areas could have some of those higher gusts. One thing now is we're seeing, according to the latest advisory, you can see here, Tania, we now have Hurricane Francine. It has intensified, so we're now looking at we've got the new advisory in. Notice it's a hurricane now. So, yeah, I was just noting to Tania, we just got this advisory. So 75-mile-per-hour winds as it moves to the north. You can see it's approaching the Gulf Coast there. And as we move through the early morning hours, early on Thursday, you can see the center is going to stay back off to the west there, but we're going to be on the eastern side of this thing. So it's going to bring us a lot of rain. Typically, we have that wetter side of the system on the eastern side, and that's also with the area, that northeast quadrant. You've got to watch out for the threat for isolated tornadoes. As we work through the forecast model data, this is from the IBM graph model, and you can see the latest track on this has shifted a bit to the east. Yesterday, it looked like it may move in more over towards Morgan City, but it may actually, some of the heaviest of the rain back in here. This is the mouth of the Mississippi, Grand Isles in here. You hear a lot of these familiar areas. As it moves north now, you can see around Lake Pontchartrain and over towards New Orleans. Those areas will certainly pick up some heavy rain out of this. This is showing 4 o'clock tomorrow as that moves in across South Louisiana, and then it spreads in across South Mississippi. Some real heavy rain from Hattiesburg, back across the Pine Belt, back up towards Meridian, around Meehan Junction there, and into Sumter County. This is Choctaw County, Alabama. There's, of course, Mobile, Baldwin County. So southwest Alabama, certainly some heavy rain late tomorrow night into the early morning hours on Thursday. Probably has some wind gust in here, topping 40 miles per hour easily as that moves north. Now, out ahead of this, we'll start to see some of that lighter rain starting to spread in across west, central, and east Alabama. That's showing 5 o'clock Thursday morning. So a lot of this really arrives for us here across the heart of the area. Morning hours Thursday, at least the heavier stuff. You can see there's 5 a.m. and then as we go into 9:30 in the morning there on Thursday, and then looking ahead to around 3:30 in the afternoon on Thursday, notice how this one model shows this last little band here that kind of wraps in, and what will happen as these systems move further north, what ends up happening is they'll kind of take on a comma shape as that happens, and that's an area you get the wind shear. You'll have to watch for that risk of isolated tornadoes as that moves further north. Looking at the forecast wind gust, you can see in here some gusts topping 30 miles per hour, and this model showing really west Alabama into early on Thursday. We'll have to watch those areas early Thursday morning for those gusty winds as well. But then it looks like the wind speeds start to back off on Friday. As far as rain, heavier totals over into west Alabama, could end up with over 3 inches of rain in a few areas. Still going to have some measurable rain across east Alabama, but the threat for flooding, of course, coming off of a drought, that's going to help us a little bit there. there. Maybe a couple of trouble spots back in the west Alabama, but we'll have to watch out for that isolated tornado threat on Thursday. So make sure you have loose items secure across the western part of the state, especially with those gusty winds. And I mentioned earlier, a lot of leaves have fallen because of the drought stress out there. Make sure drains are clear and free so we don't end up with some of those flooding issues if you have some of those poor drainage spots. But a live look from Gulf Shores right now, another area we're talking about. Tania joining us now, more specifics on what's to be expected along the Gulf Coast.
Yeah, Wes, I think this is so important. I know many people here just in central Alabama either have family, friends, or even properties down at the coast and want to know what exactly can they expect. So right now, here's a look at all the warnings, watches, and watches in place, hurricane warnings and watches, and tropical storm warnings. That tropical storm warning has now extended into parts of Mobile, including the coast of Alabama. But notice that hurricane warning in effect for almost all of Louisiana's coast. And then we've got tropical storm warnings in effect for Mississippi's coast near Gulfport. So that is what is in effect as of right now. But this is the area that has just been recently included, that tropical storm warning, including Baldwin, Alabama, over towards Mobile, giving you all that first alert. If you have family or friends down there, just let them know, hey, you guys are under that tropical storm warning. You're definitely going to see some impacts from this system, direct impacts at that. Here's a look at those wind gusts as we bring in Wednesday morning. We're going to see winds at that point gusting above 20 miles per hour along the coast, stretching from Alabama all the way to Louisiana there. You can see a 23 mile per hour wind gust, but that's not the peak of it. We'll see winds gusting up closer to 40 miles per hour as that hurricane by the time it makes landfall. Wednesday late afternoon, just around 4 p.m. there, and we can see winds gusting closer and really above 50 and even 60 miles per hour for parts of Louisiana. And notice those stronger winds will start to push into the coast of Alabama. So you just need to make sure that all those outdoor objects are nice and secure. Here's a look at some of those potential wind impacts. Number one, roof and structural damage, uprooted trees, fences and signs, power outages, and airborne projectiles cannot be ruled out. So no matter where you're at, please just make sure you have ways to receive weather information, and be sure to scan this QR code that's going to pop up here on the screen in just a second to subscribe to our WBRC YouTube channel so you can be notified anytime we go live or post. The First Alert Weather Team will be going live tomorrow at 2 p.m. to talk about Francine and answer your questions on what you can expect here in our area. Wes?
All right, and certainly going to be dealing with some coastal storm surge there too, Tania. I want to mention up to 6-foot storm surge here across Mobile Bay. You can see that area right there. A lot of folks have been asking me about this throughout the day, what kind of flooding can be expected. Here's Dauphin Island right here, so you can see that area. We're looking again 3 to 6 foot storm surge, certainly something very important to pass along to folks there concerned about that area. And for those of you planning to travel to the coast in the coming days, of course, we're on your side with how impacts from Francine could impact those plans. If you're flying in the coming days, talk to your airline. Even if you're not flying to an area that's going to be impacted by the storm, your flight could still be affected. For those of you driving, make sure you know the path and the timing of the storm so you can avoid the storm. Make sure you have our First Alert Weather app. Be flexible, be prepared, and if you need to, according to Clay Ingram with AAA of Alabama, says if you're planning on traveling during hurricane season or any other time of the year, it's always best to include travel insurance.
A lot of people think that's, unnecessary and almost sort of a scam or something, but it's really a great thing, and it's not very expensive. It's usually less than 10% of your overall travel expense. And if you're just booking a hotel at the Gulf Coast and you're driving down there and back, you might not need it for that. But if you're investing some money in a pretty significant trip, and if you're getting on a plane or a boat or leaving the country, then you definitely need to consider that, take a look at it so that you're protecting your investment.
And if the storm, of course, causes any damage to the distribution of the oil, gas, the infrastructure there across the region, there's a chance that we could see gas prices, of course, impacted. Tania?
Well, Wes, we're going to now take our family and friends to Louisiana's coast, where residents in the Cameron Parish are preparing for impacts from Francine. We take you now to our sister station, KPLC, who has the latest.
We still haven't recovered from 4 years ago yet.
Residents in Cameron Parish are making their arrangements as we continue to track Francine. Some are moving their livestock.
We're getting some cows moved. You see a lot of people moving some cows around because if pasture floods, they got to be out. So stuff like that. You see a couple people hauling campers out from down south, down here.
Others will have to take their business with them as they evacuate.
Very nervous, very anxious. I mean, we have such a short notice right now. You know, we just got a mandatory evacuation. So we're trying to get everything we can together as quick as we can, and everybody else is too. So we don't have much help because everybody else is doing their own things right now, you know.
The Cameron Parish Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness announced Monday afternoon that Hackberry, Johnson Bayou, Holly Beach, Cameron Creole, Grand Chenier, and Big Lake are all included in the mandatory evacuation order. That order was expanded to include all of Cameron Parish.
My parents, we're shrimpers. We've always shrimp. So we have to prepare our boats plus our house, our outboards, everything. So we have, you know, we're just finding out about this today and we have to be going by tomorrow. So it's kind of nerve-wracking for us.
While we met some residents who were riding out Francine, others say they are not risking it.
The Lake Charles area isn't the only part of Louisiana bracing for Hurricane Francine. Mandatory evacuation orders are in place and people are being urged to prepare. In New Orleans, people gathered at the dry raids at YMCA to get sandbags in hopes of keeping potential floodwaters out of their homes.
Well, I'm worried about a little bit of flooding. However, in my block where I'm at, a lot of times it's so much flooding it comes up to the back door and the front door, so I want to have coverage for that. My concern mainly is with the residents and stuff. If we get that severe, that they may not be able to get out, so we hopefully and prayerfully that everybody is safe and everything, you know.
Louisiana could see as much as 10 inches of rain and possibly up to 10 feet of storm surge at the coast. Well, coming up in 30 seconds, we take another live look from the coast as they continue to prepare for landfall of Hurricane Francine, as well as track other disturbances in the Atlantic. Don't go anywhere. You're watching First Alert Weather Extra, and we'll be right back.
And welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra, where we're taking a live look at the Superdome in New Orleans. We continue to track Francine as the storm prepares to make landfall tomorrow as a Category 1 hurricane. Right now it is a hurricane. It is now upgraded to a hurricane and could intensify even further, may even be more than a Cat 1. We got to watch this thing overnight, but make sure you download the First Alert Weather app for weather where you are. Get those alerts because we could see maybe some flood advisories perhaps. And of course, the one thing we got to watch out for with this, isolated tornadoes. There is a risk there. Even the Storm Prediction Center has now included our area in a marginal risk for that threat on Thursday as well. But you just scan the code right there on the screen. It's free. It's a great tool to have anytime. Really love it this time of the year, especially in the summer when you have those lightning alerts as well. You get those. So make sure, again, you download the WBRC First Alert Weather app.
Thanks, Wes. And I just wanted to give people a look at that 7-day forecast if you have plans really to go down to the Gulf Coast this weekend. You don't need to cancel those plans, but I will let you know that those waters could be choppy at least through Saturday. Sunday, though, will be a pretty decent day. Temperatures there in the 80s, overnight temps in the 70s, a lot more sunshine, and there won't really be much left of Francine at that point as we head into the weekend down at the coast. But here across central Alabama, still dealing with drought. The one good thing that Francine will be bringing us is beneficial rainfall amounts, right? We have severe drought in parts of northwest central Alabama, but we'll see increasing rain chances starting tomorrow evening throughout your Thursday, holding a 90% chance. More widespread rain chances are possible. Then we'll see rain chances tapering off, but still the chance for widely scattered showers throughout our weekend here across central Alabama, which will hopefully improve those drought conditions. And don't go anywhere because we'll have more right here on First Alert Weather Extra. And speaking with Gerald from the National Weather Service on how they're preparing, we'll be right back.
Audio check, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good, all right.
Also, you're on the other side of the desk. Good. Step to the other side there.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, sir. Go slightly right. Perfect, right there, thank you.
All right. I look at camera 2 mainly. Oh, okay. That works.
And welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. Of course, with the tropical system approaching the Gulf Coast, it's been a little while since we've had a system like this approach the state of Alabama. And now joining us, we have Gerald Satterwhite, meteorologist with the National Weather Service. And, you know, we work close with you guys anytime we have any sort of threat, impactful weather here in Alabama. I know certainly you guys are making some preparations. And tell us, you know, the plan you guys have in place and what you expect.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me here again, Wes. It seems like every time I'm here, some sort of weather system creeping in the region. But yeah, a little behind the scenes. We're currently, when we have tropical systems approaching our region, we're on coordination calls with the National Hurricane Center. So they're relaying information that has been found by the hurricane hunters and kind of explaining the reasoning for their forecast, where the storm's located, which way it's headed, what some of the impacts may be. So we're getting that information and pushing it out of our office. We're also coordinating with our emergency managers through partner emails to let them know what to expect, when to expect it, and also putting out information on social media, the forecasts and preparedness information.
Well, you know, one thing we've been talking about with this particular system now, at this point, we're not expecting a level of an Ivan or that sort of impact here inland, but, you know, for folks that are traveling to the Gulf Coast, there will be some inundation from this and there will be some heavier rainfall. What kind of impacts can folks generally expect there?
Absolutely. It looks like this system will have some time to intensify up until landfall. There is a strip of some fairly decent wind shear right along the northern Gulf Coast, so it doesn't look like it's going to get exceptionally strong, but definitely strong enough for impacts along the coast, storm surge, flooding rainfall, and damaging winds. And we'll have to watch this system as it moves up through Mississippi, especially like you've been highlighting, the western part of the state could see the highest winds and potential for some very heavy rain.
Certainly, we don't expect the kind of Michael intensification with this. I guess that's one of the good things. Also, you know, something interesting here. Have you guys started sending up, you know, special weather balloons? I know at some points we have a tropical system like this, there's added atmospheric soundings and data that you gather to really help improve the forecast of these. I don't know if you guys are doing that for this particular one, but just tell us a little bit about some of the science behind that.
Yes, so the Hurricane Center can coordinate with the United States Air Force and also the NOAA hurricane hunters, and they'll basically to investigate the wind speeds and whether or not the system has a closed circulation, which would indicate it could intensify after that point. So there's a lot of information that comes from the hurricane hunters. They're flying in and around the hurricanes, and also satellite data. There's even drones.
Yeah, right. I've seen
in
those.
the air and on the surface of the ocean, which is a really cool advancement. So you can get a lot
sail
more
drones, I believe.
Yes, yes. So a lot more data coming in from those as well. And like you mentioned, sometimes we will launch weather balloons every 6 hours here on the mainland to kind of gauge what the environment is around these systems.
So we're gathering a lot of information from this thing. So we are going to be watching it closely, and certainly the way it looks now, the confidence increasing that, it's a hurricane now, but we're not expecting it to become a Katrina level type system, at least as it moves through our area. It looks like some gusty winds. Of course, we'll be watching West Alabama. And for folks, we need to watch Thursday for that threat of isolated tornadoes as well.
Yes, I know from recent memory, a lot of people will go to Zeta a few years ago, where it was a fast-moving system, so it didn't have time to completely weaken by the time it got to our area, and we had a lot of downed trees. So even though it may not be to that magnitude, it only takes a couple trees down in a neighborhood or along your road to cause issues. So definitely be on guard as we head through Wednesday night and Thursday, and like you mentioned, some of that dry air that comes in aloft on Thursday could help spawn a few tornadoes, so we'll be keeping a close eye out for that.
I know you will, and we'll certainly be checking in with you guys as well as we monitor this system as it approaches the Gulf Coast. And I want to update you on the forecast here and how things evolve over the next couple days. This is from what we call the graph model. It's the high resolution atmospheric forecast system. This is one of the new IBM models that we run. It trended a little bit to the east, and Gerald, you can see here, it kind of moved the center there over towards more towards Baton Rouge. I know they included that area under the hurricane warning for today, and then that heaviest rain lifts in early Thursday morning. So again, watching over into West Alabama, especially for some of that heavier rain, some of those gusty winds into early on Thursday. So plan Thursday morning, some wet weather to start the day. As for us, again, you can see early on the most intense part of this back into the south and west. But as this lifts in during the day, we'll have to watch, especially as we heat up during the day as well. What might end up happening here, we could end up with a couple of warnings out of this. You get the wind shear and the added instability, and there is always that risk for an isolated tornado, so we'll have to watch out for that threat. But notice in the Thursday afternoon and evening is showing some of that heavier rain back into East Alabama. So I know for a lot of us here, we really need that rainfall. That's the one good thing, is this is showing that possibility for some rain there across East Alabama. And as we take it on into Friday, we'll probably see some improvements. We do have the first alert weather day continuing into the early morning there on Friday. Hopefully we're able to cancel that a little bit sooner. But as we go to the 7-day forecast, it's kind of interesting what happens with this. It looks like it sort of stalls out. We still have this leftover trough that's going to be around, especially to the east of us by Sunday and Monday and next week. So it's going to leave us with some clouds, a few showers. As we look at the forecast data there on Saturday, you can see that chance for rain is there. So can't rule out some showers, maybe even a storm over the weekend. So check the First Alert weather app. You may have some of those lightning alerts I mentioned for the Auburn game. We're factoring in a 30 to 40% chance for a shower or storm there on Saturday, and that chance for a shower or storm will continue into next week. And we'll continue right here on Weather Extra. Stay with us. Yeah, he can stay here and say goodbye with us. You want to say
you want
goodbye
another
with us?
segment?
Might as
We
well.
can do that.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he's staying local, Mark Rose, because his son lives in Atlanta and his daughter's in Nashville, I think. So he's kind of a good central location to both of them. So.
Yeah, I need to touch base with him. I'm flying out Saturday afternoon. I'll be back Tuesday night. JP's going too. I think Tim Coleman's going too out there. I don't know if anybody other state. I need to ask if 42.
Nussbaum.
Yeah, see if he's going.
Is that in Texas?
Irving, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I had to get some points, so which I haven't been in person. I intended to go to Pittsburgh. Come on in a little bit. Hey, where's Tania at?
I'm right here.
Okay.
I was getting my push alert ready to push for a hurricane.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I hear you. 10 seconds.
Am I on the inside? Okay.
How much time?
45, I'm gonna come back.
All right, welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. Of course, we're going to be keeping a close watch on the tropical system. Big thank you to Gerald Satterwhite, meteorologist with the National Weather Service, for joining us here on Weather Extra. And of course, you guys, making a lot of preparations. And for the state of Alabama right now, it does look like the more intense wind speeds with this will be to the west of Alabama.
Yeah, we kind of cut the state in half along and west of 65. Interstate 65 could have some wind gusts up around 45 miles per hour, a couple inches of rain. Thankfully, well, in this situation, it's been drier, so we won't have to deal with that. Yeah. We don't want it to be dry, but in this situation, we won't probably deal with a whole lot of flooding. The river levels and streams are kind of low as far as the amount of water in them, so that'll be.
So, we certainly need the rain, and we're going to be talking a lot more about that. Of course, we have the debate tonight, so we will see you after that right here on WBRC.
I'm going to give Kendall my phone number, so.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that'd be great. Have a good one. You can go out that way. Yeah. See ya. I'm ready. All right, let's do this in 3, 2. First Alert meteorologist Tania Michelle here with a look at that 7-day forecast. The big story over the next 3 days will be tropical, now hurricane Francine. So we are tracking this after it makes landfall. Of course, we're going to see some impacts, rain and wind for the second half of your Wednesday, but more rain and even an isolated tornado could be possible for us on Thursday. By the time we reach Friday, rain chances should start to die down. We'll see some lingering showers around for the weekend and even some stormy weather for the start of next week, but not too bad. Temperatures a lot cooler Thursday afternoon, mid-70s, overnight temps in the 60s. If you're looking for more forecast updates and updates on Francine, please download the WBRC First Alert Weather app.